One of the most difficult and painful things that we deal with in our human experience, and that is this painful word called rejection. This unfortunate, tragic reality of life called rejection that often leaves a lot of us with scars from our childhood and scars from our adulthood and all manner of trauma. Why did not they want me? Was I not good enough? Was I not pretty enough? Anyone you love right now more than Jesus is an idol. They're sitting on the throne of your heart and he's competing for that spot. And because you love people more than him, you compromise with them because you can't stand for him. Why did she walk out of my life? I snatched them out of your life because she was an idol. Why did I lose that relationship? He was an idol. I'm not gonna compete. I will either remove or step away. My family, as I was preparing for this message, I was thinking about you, I was thinking about me. I was thinking about something that happened to me early in my Christian walk. Something that a lot of us are familiar with, even from a tender age. As I thought about this particular text, this particular chapter, I thought about one of the most difficult and painful things that we deal with in our human experience, and that is this painful word called rejection. If you've never been rejected, just keep living. And at some point in time in your lifetime, you might feel what many of us can testify of this human sting called rejection. This unfortunate, tragic reality of life called rejection that often leaves a lot of us with scars from our childhood and scars from our adulthood and all manner of trauma. For some of us, we can testify of what it feels like to be rejected. There are people in this room, probably people watching right now, you was adopted. Never met your biological parents, and maybe you thought to yourself, well, why did not they want me? Was I not good enough? Was I not pretty enough? Was I not a handsome enough? Nobody dedicated me when I was a little child. Some of us, we've never met our biological parents, and all these years, we're still wondering, why did they reject me? Why did they not want me? Why was I not good enough? Some of us know what it is to not meet a parent. They skated out at a young age, raised by a single mother or a single father, and battling with the feelings of rejection. This parent did not want me. Some of us know what it is to love someone very deeply. A spouse, a significant other, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a mentor, who at some point in time just rejects you for whatever reason. They shut down the door of access. You don't know. But for whatever reason, you walk away feeling like you was not good enough for the relationship. What did you do wrong? You spend years questioning yourself. Was I good enough? Was I pretty enough? Small enough? Tall enough? Thick enough? Thin enough? Whatever the case is. Some of us know what it is to have good friends who, in some season, they walk out of our lives. And if you just keep living like I have, you might rack up a few scars of knowing what it feels like to be rejected. I'm not sure if I've ever met someone yet who has never felt some measure of rejection. Can I get a witness from anybody? And yet, for all of us who have felt rejection, I want to tell you the Lord is intimately acquainted with your feelings. For from the even earliest days of his life, Jesus too knew what it was to be a stranger and rejected. Matthew recorded for us an account of this unfortunate reality in the early days of the life of Jesus. I want to read to you this account and just unpack a few things for you, and I'll pray for you, and we'll be done. In Matthew chapter 2, verse 1, Matthew records these words. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem, Luke would tell us they was pushed there because of a census. They did not originally live there, but because of a census, they had no choice but to travel to Bethlehem. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. Now, a few things I want to point out from this text. I want you to notice that Jesus was forced to the town of Bethlehem. I find it so interesting that Jesus, who called himself the bread of life, was born in the city that's called the House of Bread. God, watching over all of the affairs of his birth and his early childhood, we see Jesus, the bread of life, was born in the city called the House of Bread. Now, for all of us at Christmas time, we hear about these dudes every Christmas time so much that we're numb to them. The wise men, you've seen it in Christmas plays and in your nativity scene. We put three of them there. One always looks Asian, one always looks black, and one always looks white. They have funny hats on. And we always put three of them coming to see Jesus in a manger. They did not see Jesus in a manger because he was not in a manger when they arrived. The truth of the matter is we don't know who these wise men were. Wise men in the Greek is where we get the word magoi, where we translate that into magi. We don't have any idea who these men were. We don't even know how many of them there were. Although we say there's three because of what they came, we don't know how many they were. We don't know who they were. We have no historical record about who these men were or where they actually came from, except they came from the east towards Bethlehem. But we do know something about these men, that these men had knowledge of prophetic records from the Old Testament. The Old Testament existed when Christ was born. They had knowledge of the Old Testament because they said to Herod, "Where is he who has been born the King of the Jews?" So they would have known from the scriptures, from the prophecies of the past, that at some point in time in history, God was going to send his son, God was going to send a king, God was going to send the promised Messiah, God was going to send a ruler. These men who had knowledge of the scriptures, maybe parchments of the scriptures, knew that the Messiah would be born sometime soon, and then they saw his star appear, and they knew that he was on the earth. I want you to notice that they didn't see a star. I want you to look very closely at the text. They said they saw his star. Got to read slowly. Not Orion's belt, not the Little Dipper, not all the stars we see every night down here in the city or in the country. All these beautiful stars we see. They didn't say anything about those stars. They said they saw his star. So that means these wise men from whatever country they was in, some believe Persia, some place in the east, one night looked up and saw some type of formation in the sky that was different from all the stars they had seen before. And from that formation, they knew to themselves that the king must be on the earth. It couldn't have been any star, but it was some kind of cosmic supernatural formation. Now, in history, in the year 6 BC, the planets Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn had aligned in the year 6 BC. And it formed something in the sky. And so some people say that what they saw was the aligning of those planets in the year 6 BC. This happened in history. But I don't think that's what they saw was just the aligning of those planets, because I don't think the aligning of the planets would be his star. What I believe they saw was the Shekinah glory of God, sending a divine sign to the earth that the king you have been waiting for thousands of years, he is now on the earth. Just like one day we're going to feel in the spirit that the Antichrist is in the earth. Anyone you love right now more than Jesus is an idol. They are sitting on the throne of your heart and he's competing for that spot. Watch. And because you love people more than him, you compromise with them because you can't stand for him. So because Jesus knew you would be weakened by the emotion of love, he raises the bar of discipleship, saying you can't love your wife, your husband, your children, your best friend, your squad leader. You can't love Philip Anthony Mitchell more than you love me. Any person you put in that spot, you make them an idol. You give me an incentive to touch them. Why did I lose that relationship? he was an idol. Gosh, this is heat. Why did she walk out of my life? I snatched them out of your life because she was an idol. Why did I lose that friend? I snatched them out of your life because they were an idol. I'm not going to compete. I will either remove or step away. I ain't going to compete. I either remove or I step away. God. This is why I tell my own children, watch, I sit them down, Malachi, Israel, Abigail, and Josiah. And I look them in their eyes and I say, y'all can't, listen, we can't even go nowhere without them wanting to go everywhere we go. It's like FOMO. My home suffers from FOMO. We want to be in each other's presence everywhere we go. And I sit them down often and I tell them, they'll testify, you cannot love your mother more than Jesus. I know she dope, and she our best friend. You can't love her more than Jesus. You're going to make your mom an idol. You cannot love your father. Well, I'm probably not big competition anyway, but you can't love your father. That's true. I'll be like, when Lena and I get old, they're going to have her in a mansion and stick me in a basement somewhere. You know how they be doing fathers, right? Like, ain't nobody sending no card to their father on Father's Day. We end up in a basement being not taken care of. Y'all better take care of me. I'm serious. Don't put me in no basement. I've been too good to y'all. I done paid my dues. I done sow good seeds. I want a good harvest. I've been a good father. And let me help some of y'all. And don't attach materialism to being a good parent. They're not going to remember gifts when they get old. They're going to remember if you love them, if you affirm them, if you taught them the ways of the kingdom of God. Did you model faith for them? Parents, you can't keep them happy in a corner with an iPad. Little children, they spell love T-I-M-E. They want you. Discipleship don't start with formation. It starts in your house. My children ain't learn about Christ in no children's ministry. They only was reminded of Christ in the children's ministry.